to increase the value of your home. With up to 5,000 units of affordable homes on a 500-hectare land, Tap City will be twice the size of Banjul. Prime location, stunning properties, and amazing discount of 20% for the first 50 buyers. Make an appointment today to secure your property. For more information, please call +220-776233 or +220-376-2333, or you can send an email to info@tafafricaglobal.com. Better still, visit our office at Madiba Mall, Bruford Gardens Estate. Taf City, a green and smart city, accessible to all.
Presidential candidates continue their journey on the 2021 campaign trail, meeting Gambian electorate across the country to canvass for votes ahead of the December polls. The incumbent and leader of the National People's Party, His Excellency Adama Barrow, returns to Banjul following 2 weeks of campaign in provincial Gambia. And supporting effective healthcare delivery, Trust Bank extends a massive philanthropic gesture in major hospitals, fulfilling the bank's corporate social responsibility. And in sports, the Gambia Golf Open Tournament wraps up on Sunday at the Fajara Club Golf Course. And away from home, dozens of people injured and 5 killed after a car plunged into a Christmas parade in the U.S. state of Wisconsin. Well, these and many other stories coming ahead in the news. I am your presenter, Fatu Janimbai. Well, it's good to have you with us, and we begin this bulletin with the incumbent and leader of the National People's Party-led coalition, His Excellency Adama Barrow, who made a triumphant return to Banjul following 2 weeks of campaign in the provinces. His Excellency was received by thousands of enthusiastic supporters who stormed the streets of the West Coast region, Kanifing Municipality, and Banjul to welcome and escort the NPP flag standard bearer. Mamadou Jallo reports on what the NPP describes as an unprecedented reception set to propel the party to a landslide victory on December 4th.
After 2 weeks in the provinces canvassing votes ahead of the crucial December 4th presidential election, the NPP standard bearer Adama Barrow made a triumphant return to the State House. The NPP party hierarchy and their coalition partners had promised a massive 300,000 strong reception for their party leader, starting at the iconic Bruman Bridge in Kalaji through the West Coast region to the State House. There were chaotic scenes as the president crossed from the Lower River region to the other side, where supporters went into a frenzy, chanting slogans and keeping a lively atmosphere. The motorcade slowly made it across the Fonies, came to a halt at Brikama, where thousands more had patiently waited to receive the incumbent and his campaign caravan. This only added to the excitement that usually accompanies such events. But in this period of political campaign, it had added symbolic value for the NPP and its allies, which wanted to make a show of force in this populous town. With this motorcade now forced to a snail's pace, President Barrow settled for the long haul, gesturing to the crowds that filled the streets of all the settlements along the route. In Farato, Usumbala, Banjulining and Lamen, the people of the West Coast region defied the odds walking on foot to the border with the Kanifing municipality. Not to be outdone by the West Coast region, they also filled Abuko in an unprecedented fashion to take him through the Mamadi Maniang Highway to Westfield, much to the satisfaction of some of the NPP party mobilizers.
Beyond what I expected earlier. But then I am not surprised because Barrow has sown that seed. He's a man that every Gambian sees himself or herself in. A man that tolerates everybody. A man that works hardest to unite this country. A man that works hardest to make sure that Gambians forgive each other. A man that is undertaking, that is, developing this country at an alarming rate. When I say alarming, I mean at a rate that is beyond impressive.
This was an assessment shared by Sidin Jai, who believes the election is already decided in the incumbent's favor, as politics is a game of numbers.
We are indeed satisfied that the Gambian people have shown President Adam Barrow they are grateful to him. This is a crowd that have never been seen before in the political history of the Gambia. For me personally, I have been moving with President since 2004 today. Every year I have traveled with former President and the current President up to now. But this crowd, the welcome I saw in Kalaji and in Brikama here, Westcott, I have never seen that. That shows the election December 4, 2021 has been decided.
After a grueling 8-hour journey, the President arrived in Banjul, where his supporters had kept a vigil all night. Like their peers in the combos, Banjulians also accompanied him to the State House. President Barrow was full of gratitude to the multitude of Gambians who came out to welcome and escort him from Kalaji to the capital. This, the NPP leader believes, is a vote of confidence in him and his government.
I think throughout the tour, it was outstanding that people appreciated what we have been doing for the past 4 or 5 years. And I think the Gambian are happy today, finally. But we will still continue on the campaign. We are very aggressive. We want to garner support from every corner.
As always, the President sounded confident and optimistic that a victory in the December 4th election is just a matter of time, as he holds all the aces and the numbers. The second leg of the campaign now enters the West Coast region, Kanifing Municipality and Banjul. Omodu Jallo, GRTS News.
And now, the Secretary General and Presidential Candidate for PDOIS, Honorable Halifa Sallah, has reaffirmed his party's commitment to eradicating rural poverty and ensure that people live in dignity and prosperity if elected into office. Sallah is currently leading an entourage comprising members of PDOIS and the All People's Party, headed by Dr. Ibrahim Jain, and Youth for Change, led by former presidential aspirant Alhaji Mamadi Kurang. The PDOIS-led campaign team is currently in the Upper River region. Yorojalo tells us more.
The PDOIS-led coalition style of campaign is by way of caravan tour. The team goes to communities, meet them and have face-to-face discussion with them on the PDOIS transformative agenda, which seeks to bring about what they refer to as a system change. They have so far visited several communities in the region in the areas of Sandu and Kantora districts. Sallah said the PDOIS-led government would nurture and inform the citizenry, will have the right and audacity to ask the community what is required to have education, skills, good health, employment, housing, and proper sanitation, who will recognize their duty to give to the community what it requires to provide the needs of all and ensure that it enjoy individual and social justice programs. The PDOIS standard bearer said the PDOIS-led government would ensure that the country produce and process what it grow and transform the agri sector into an export-oriented agriculture that would guarantee food security and enhance export to enable Gambian farmers to become prosperous income earners. He said the PDOIS government would ensure that all compound revenues collected from the villages will be deposited in the village treasury for village development.
Na marolo poto banko si yelmano ko hariya si bay sate komata si bay Gambia kutot.
Honorable Salah told his supporters that the PDOIS-led government would ensure that the people get quality education, which shall be free from grade 1 to 12. He further told his supporters that the DOI-led government will build factories for large-scale manufacturing to boost youth employment. Lamenting on the significance of this year's elections, National Chairman of the PDOIS party, Honorable Sidia Jata, described it as crucial, urging their supporters to vote wisely for PDOIS-led coalition to enable them bring about a system change that all Gambians are yearning for. The leader of the Youth for Change movement, Alhaji Muhammad Kurang, whose movement endorsed Honorable Halifa Saleh as their standard bearer, said the agreement between the PDOIS and his movement is not characterized by bringing people together and sharing positions, but to bring about a system change that will build factories for large-scale manufacturing to boost youth and women empowerment. For his part, the National Assembly member for Woodley East constituency, Honorable Soeba Toure, advised the youths to assist their party leader to deliver the desired aspiration of Gambian youths by voting him in the 4th December elections.
Well, still on the campaign, the Secretary General and Standard Bearer of the National Unity Party has highlighted the country's long-term developmental challenges, such as the undiversified economy, small internal market, fast rate of population growth, and limited skills as essential requirements for change. Abdullah Ibrahim Jame said these issues are coupled with ineffective leaderships over the years, which has slowed the country's economic growth. The NUP leader was speaking at meetings in Damfa Kunda and Sari Alpha in Tumana district in the Upper River region. An ongoing presidential campaign, Wala Usman Mane tells us more.
Damfa Kunda and Sari Alpha were the only two communities in Tumana district, Upper River region, to receive the National Unity Party in the ongoing presidential election campaign. The standard bearer Abdullah Ibrahim Jame was once again described as the people's choice by members of his entourage, while outlining his leadership qualities to the people of URR. Various speakers, including Jundu Sise, Dembo Kijera, and Dallu Juwara, explained the challenges affecting their livelihoods: inadequate farm inputs in horticulture gardening, poor roads, youth unemployment are among the problems the community is faced with. They all advised Jame to work in the interest of the people when voted in office. Arriving at Sari Alpha with a rousing welcome, the NUP were pleased with the people of Sari Alpha, assuring them of victory from December polls. Youth leader Ali Sisoho said the NUP's leader's visit to the community shows his love for the people of Sari Alpha, and he assured Abdullah Ibrahim Jame of a massive vote from the youths. Maimuna Asta Damba highlighted water shortage, access to quality healthcare, as well as low standard of living are factors that underpin the current situation in the community. Campaign manager Adama Manjang and Social Secretary Kadi Sabali explained that their manifesto has catered for all sectors of the economy. They noted that Sari Alpha is among the few communities who embraced the NUP since 2018 and urged them to continue with the trust they have for the party. Kadi Sabali advised the people to vote wisely by voting for the NUP. The man of the moment, presidential candidate Abdullah Ibrahim Jame, bemoaned the current state of communities across the country. So far, all the villages we visited share similar problems, in particular, access to potable and safe drinking water, which is a fundamental human right. He assured the people of Sari Alpha that NUP is aware of the importance and challenges of all the development sectors, and it is central in the pursuit for economic development. Jammeh concluded by advising the electorates not to sell their votes for pittance that would have a long-term negative effects on their lives and livelihoods. The campaign team is expected to have meetings in Basse and surrounding communities. Usman Mane, GRTS.
And elsewhere, the Secretary General and Standard Bearer of the United Democratic Party has underscored his party's resolve to addressing the perennial water problems of rural communities if elected into office. ANM Ousainou Dabo was addressing UDP political rallies at Kir Katim and Kir Babu Job in Central River Region South. Dabo said his government will drill hundreds of boreholes annually to supply clean drinking water to communities in rural areas. Well, Babu Cham has details of that, and that report will come in our subsequent news bulletins. Well, meanwhile, the people of Gambia say they will not replace the leader of the Gambia Democratic Congress, Mama Kande, for any politician, as the race for the State House heightens with less than 2 weeks to the polls. The GDC-led coalition was in the Upper River region to canvass for votes in the country's farthest region. Louis Mende is with the entourage, and of course, that report as well will come later in the news. Well, we now shift attention to
the GDC-led coalition has rounded up efforts to mobilize votes in the Upper River region ahead of the December presidential election. In Gambia, in the midst of a jubilant crowd ushering the coalition into the village for a massive rally, optimistic GDC flag bearer Mama Kande demonstrated the little time left for him to occupy the seat of the presidency by pointing to the clock on his hand. One after the other on the podium, Speaker said political aspirant Mama Kande has the right to be optimistic, not only because of the massive fan base in the region, but also because of the service to humanity he continues to offer as a private citizen. Alaji Musa Kamara, the GDC campaign manager for the Upper River region, and Mariama Jane, the mother to the party, said the light turnout in the meetings in Gambisara and Basse is not a coincidence, as Mama Kande has already established himself as a beacon of hope for the country's challenging infrastructure, health, agriculture, and security.
The security sector is dead. Our security forces are now laborers, working for others for daily wages. The country is stagnant because of lack of proper planning.
In Basse, the Women Association also registered their support to Mama Kande. Speaking on behalf of the group was Aissatou Jallow.
On behalf of Basse Women, our President Karimatu Jallow, may we 100% GDC, inshallah.
Leaving the Upper River region satisfied by the level of support accorded to him and his party, Mama Kande told the people that part of his plans is to launch regional parliaments in all regions and municipalities across the country as formal platforms for public divergent views for sustainable socio-economic development if he wins the election. Kande also promised to digitalize the economy as means of fighting corruption, as well as set database to capture national data, such as dates of birth when children are born, for reference. Quality education will be my government's priority, he said.
If we don't plan our country now, the future will be hard. I, Mama Kande, will not live for the next 50 and 90 years, but GDC has plans to start shaping this country in the right direction.
The GDC also has plans to mechanize farming for national food security, Kande promised. Similar promises were made in the Upper River region settlements of Sare Alpha, Garawol, and Koina, where the GDC meetings were also held. For residents of this area, Gambians should not alternate Mama Kande for any politician in the December election. Reasons forwarded to back up their arguments were similar to those mentioned in Gambisara and in Basse. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
Well, that was Louis Mendy there with the GDC team in the Upper River region. Well, we'll now go back to one of our earlier mentioned lead stories where Central River region, of course, where Trust Bank Gambia Limited has donated an assortment of health materials to the Bansang Hospital Laboratory in their quest to fulfill their corporate social responsibility in the health sector. Modulamin Sanet tells us more.
Delivery of social corporate responsibility by Trust Bank brings much needed support for the health sector. The presentation is a massive step to boost quality healthcare in the Gambia, with the bank's management traveling to Bansang to formally hand over vital health materials to the hospital.
It is against this backdrop that Trust Bank chose to partner with Bansang Hospital to support the laboratory unit, which is the engine driving the operation of the hospital. This presentation is a continuation of a journey which started about 7 years ago, like I said, with the strategic objective of complementing government's efforts in the promotion of quality healthcare. This is a cause that is close to our heart as it constitutes one of the main pillars on which our corporate social responsibility program is built. We have a huge CSR budget, and I'm happy to say that the bulk of it is earmarked for the health sector.
Materials here include disposable gloves, ferrous sulfate, and HCG test strips worth $100,000.
When you look at anemia, it's the leading contributing factor to maternal death. It's not a cause, but a leading contributing factor. And with the micronutrient survey in the Gambia 2018, indicated that close to 54% of women are anemic already. You understand? So you could see the importance of the drug in supplementing people, to get so that they cannot become anemic. Once you are anemic, it increases the risk of you dying during pregnancy. So the drugs are absolutely, you put your resources in the right place.
Health officials and hospital staff hail the donation as crucial and timely amid efforts to provide efficient healthcare delivery to the large catchment area covered by the Bansang Hospital.
Really grateful and appreciative of this wonderful gesture. It will really go a long way. You're complimenting government's efforts, and we are really happy and grateful to receive this wonderful gesture. As you can see, the cartons, we have 20 cartons of gloves received, but due to the pressure, we were pressed, so we had to use about 11 cartons of them, and also the ferrous sulfate.
Ladies and gentlemen, in June 2018, the management of the bank came for the second time to rescue the hospital when a very strong windstorm blew the entire roof of the laboratory department, causing extensive damage to most of the equipment at this important unit. At this crucial time, Trust Bank donated $191,700 to purchase a microscope and other items for the lab. Today's presentation affirms the commitment of the bank to plow back their support to one of the most important sectors of the government.
A joyful moment for both managements now cements a strong partnership between Trust Bank and Bansang Hospital, which is set to expand its Medicare delivery, covering the biggest region in the Gambia and beyond. Modulamin Sane reporting for GRTS News from the Central River region. A major delivery.
Well, still on Trust Bank, a similar donation of medical supplies, electrical equipment and detergents worth over $100,000 was also presented to the Basse District Hospital as part of the bank's annual corporate social delivery to major district hospitals across the country. Alcedo Kamara tells us more, of course, on the presentation held at the Basse District Hospital.
Part of their corporate social responsibility, Trust Bank Limited presented medical and other valuable items to major district hospitals across the country, including the Basse District Hospital in the Upper River region. The managing director of Trust Bank, Jilan Senghor, said, for over 5 years, Trust Bank has been conducting the Medicare intervention as a strategic objective to complement government's efforts in promoting quality healthcare services.
This is a continuation of a journey which we started about 5 years ago. I believe this is our 6th presentation, with the strategic objective of complementing government efforts in the promotion of quality health care. This is a cause that is close to our hearts as it constitutes one of the main pillars on which our corporate social responsibility program is built. We are aware and appreciate that our customers from all corners of the Gambia and even ourselves as employees of Trust Bank Limited, together with our families, might at some point directly or indirectly benefit from the health services offered by the Basse District Hospital. We have a branch here, and we have staff members who may need to use this facility.
According to Njilan, the initiative is a cause championed by the management of the bank, as it constitutes one of the main pillars the program is built on.
At Trust Bank Limited, we firmly believe in doing the right thing, not only for our employees and customers, but also our communities. Our values are aligned with values that are important to our customers and communities, and we are firmly committed to helping Gambians across many areas, but most especially in the area of health. Giving is the core of our culture at Trust Bank Limited. But please note that even though this presentation today comes with items of monetary value, what is even more important to us is the love and the appreciation we have brought along from the Trust Bank family to the patients and staff of Basse District Hospital.
The Regional Health Director Lamin Sise hailed Trust Bank Limited and described the donation as timely. Mr. Sise said the items will add immense value to the daily nursing and Medicare operation and improve the health condition of patients.
Trust Bank Limited is still honoring its responsibility and obligation that they have actually planned to be given to the Ministry of Health. We want other institutions at least to join us, because the health of the population is our responsibility actually. We know the government cannot do it alone. So I want to thank the General Manager and her esteemed staff for this kind of adjustment.
The officer in charge of the Basse District Hospital, Batro Kamara, commended the management of Trust Bank and acknowledged the importance of the items, saying nurses and patients will greatly benefit from the donation.
These items are of utmost importance to the management and the staff of Basse District Hospital. They can't come at a better time. We want to tell the management, we want to reassure them that these materials will be used rationally and will be used for their intended purpose.
The donated items identified through a consultation request from the management of the hospital include medical supplies, electrical equipment, and detergents. Hospital staff Ibrahim Hassan expressed delight and appreciation to the donors for providing them with valuable items that will make their work easier during operations.
We cannot be healthy, we cannot provide good health and well-being to patients and the members of the community without equipment, and this is exactly what Trust Bank Limited has done for Basse District Hospital.
Trust Bank Limited operates on the principles of sharing and caring that transcends their employees and customers to include communities across the Gambia in multiple areas, especially in the health sector. Seydou Kamara, reporting for Diates News from Basse Upper River Region.
And now, radio has become a crucial medium for public education, helping advocates and organizations to convey their messages in an increasingly digital world. The platform, which is more engaging and intellectual than visual mediums, is particularly important in spreading the message of peace with communities like the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, using its outreach potential to intensify its message for global peace and tolerance. Our Farmer Abaji takes a closer look at the ways radio is being used to increase global peace.
Radio has become an important medium to spread the message of global peace and tolerance, with more people gaining access to the far-reaching medium. Ahmadiyya Muslim community has been running radio stations across Africa for decades to enhance its message and increase outreach in hard-to-reach regions and communities. In November 2018, the Jamaat launched the Light FM radio in the Gambia, a 24-hour station that aims to propagate Islam's message within the country. Since its inception, the station has grown in popularity and has contributed significantly to the expansion of the community's message. How is radio perceived in the Western world? And do faith-based stations still have a place within a society moving away from religion and belief in God?
You're listening to the Voice of Islam Radio.
The Voice of Islam is an international 24-hour station based in London, inaugurated by the worldwide head of the Ahmadiyya community, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, in 2016, to provide a platform for the education of the general public on Islamic teachings and contemporary issues.
The purpose of the Voice
of Islam is to inform people of the true teachings of Islam and to make it abundantly clear that Islam's teachings perfectly conform and relate to the needs of every era and every person.
As one of the only Islamic channels on the new digital platform, the station is available to millions of listeners, offering a direct opportunity to understand the doctrines of Islam.
When they look at what faith communities are teaching at this moment in time, it is something which is very alien to their existence. And what we are trying to do through this radio station is to try and make faith relevant with their daily life.
Within the Western world, there is a growing number of people moving away from religion and belief in God. So how is the station perceived by the general public?
We are getting some very good feedback, both from our listeners, from those people who come and give their views on our radio station. They all speak very highly of the quality of the radio station.
Hopes to, with a growing number of people moving away from religion around the world, how is the station perceived by the general public? The station is run by hundreds of volunteers and professionals who give up their time to act as producers, presenters, scriptwriters, and technicians.
By the grace of Allah, we have now almost 300 volunteers who run this radio station, and we have these people knew nothing about this technology, but we have now created producers, presenters, researchers.
The Ahmadiyya Community UK is leading efforts to promote peace and religious tolerance through radio in programs, helping the general public to embrace Islamic moral values. The organization hopes to expand its station and radio engagement across the Gambia in the near future. Farmer Abaji, GRTS News.
And from the report by Farmer Abaji, allow me to take you back to one of our preambles where the Secretary General and Standard Bearer of the United Democratic Party has underscored his party's resolve to addressing the perennial water problems of rural communities if elected into office. A.N.M. Usainu Dabo was addressing UDP political rallies at Ker Katim and Ker Babu Job in the Central River Region South. Dabo said his government will drill hundreds of boreholes annually to supply clean drinking water to communities in rural areas. Babu Cham has more in this report.
Meandering of the road through the woods lies Kerkatim and Kerbubajob in Central River Region South. Albeit the heat and the hot hours, it was a show of celebration and joy, escorting their party leader to the meeting grounds. Speaking at both rallies, the Secretary General and the flag bearer of the United Democratic Party, A.N.M. Usainu Dabo, underscored his party's resolve to address the perennial water problem of the rural communities if elected into office. He said his government will drill 100 boreholes annually to supply clean drinking water to communities in rural areas. Commenting on his 5-point agenda, Lawyer Usainu Dabo said it is obligatory and incumbent on the government to provide services to the population rather than they appealing for support. He said his party is committed to improving the education system to standard and establish 10 skill centers to create more job opportunities for the youths. He used the opportunity to advise his supporters in the area to stay away from violence, noting that politics should not be a dividing factor amongst communities. The leader for Gambia for All, Bakari Bunya Dabo, implored on electorates in the area to vote for UDP to achieve sustainable development. One-time presidential aspirant Marisok called on women to vote UDP, describing it as a responsible party that will emancipate women from hard labor and drudgery. Several speakers at both meetings decried of poor road network, access to water, health facility, education, as well as farm inputs, amongst others. Rallies continues in the Jaras Lower River region. Babu Cham, GRTS.
Well, time now to take our first break. When we return, we'll take a look at some soccer news. To stay with us. To GRTS News, I am Fatu Janimbayan in sports. The Gambia Golf Open Tournament wrapped up on Sunday at the Sir Dawda Jawara Fajara Club Golf course, I beg your pardon. Now, players from Senegal and Sierra Leone were invited to participate in the tournament. Gambia local professional golfer Dudu Gassama set a new record by winning his 4th Gambia Golf Open title. Sheikh Juf covered the tournament, and this is his report.
The 2020 Gambia Open is being played in 2021 after its previous scheduled date of 24 to 29 March 2020 had to be cancelled. This was a consequence of the banning of all sporting activities in the country in order to help curb the spread of the COVID-19 disease, which was declared a global pandemic by the World Health Organization on 11 March 2020. This year's tournament, being the first Open since the passing of Gambia's first president, Sir Dawda Jawara, in 2019, is dedicated to his memory. The late Sir Dawda Jawara was a keen golfer, a member of Fajara Club from 1963 to 2019, and the first chief patron of the Gambia Golf Association, GGA, when it was formed in 2009. This is also the first Gambia Open to be played at the newly renamed Sir Dawda Jawara Fajara Club Golf Course. The contest was divided into 3 categories separating caddies, amateurs and pros from Senegal, Sierra Leone and Gambia.
It's telling me that we have come a long way, and the fact that the Gambia Open has been organized once again. We've had participation from Gambian residents, Senegalese, Sierra Leoneans, Nigeria, and my father initiated the Gambia Open and Pro-Am back in the early 1970s, and he used to take part as well. He's been an active golfer since 1963, so we decided that this Gambia Open, being the first Open since he passed away in 2019, that we dedicated to his memory.
The caddy tournament aims to motivate young players to become professional golfers in the future. Ibu Jajo collected the top prize in the opener, winning the caddy category. Gambia's #1 golfer Dudu Gassama retained his title with a record 4th championship win in the professional category. The top local pro expressed joy at winning the title, attributing it to his hard work. Gassama, who has been representing the Gambia internationally, also called for sponsorship to help Gambian pros to take part in more international tournaments.
To try to lie to institutions and companies to look for sponsors so that I can play more international tournaments, especially within the sub-region. I always have the plan to play in the US Open qualifiers or the British Open qualifiers, which normally takes place during the summer. So these are the plans I'm having. The immediate plans is to try and have sponsors to play within the sub-region, tournament that come like Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Ghana, Equatorial Guinea, and even South Africa, which are bigger golfing nations, in Africa.
Because I don't think a lot of Gambians know about golf when it comes to golf, in terms of golf. And we have very talented golfers here in Gambia. You see the Senegalese team, they are all the pros here, it's about 23 pros internationally. And Gambian come top and the Gambian come second place. So it says something about the talent in the country. So what we need support from the government so that we can have a proper golf course in the Gambia.
This is the first major tournament bringing together Gambians and other sub-regional golfers. A development official say is vital in the advancement of sports in the country.
One of the perceptions out there has been that golf is a sport for a few.
But I was actually told that is not the case because I've been introduced to some people, not today, a few months ago when they came to the office, to some few golfers that were recruited from amateur level and they grow up to become professionals. And that is something that I would want us to work on to see how best we can be able to encourage more people at our communities, in our schools, and in our other VUs and others to see how best they can adopt golf as a form of sports that just like we embrace football and volleyball and basketball.
Certificates were later presented to winners in the 2020 Gambia Golf Open. Sheikh Diouf, reporting for Jarte Sport.
And from the report by Sheikh Diouf, we'll take a quick recap of our top stories once again before we end this edition of the news on GRTS. Now, presidential candidates continue their journey on the 2021 campaign trail, meeting Gambian electorate across the country to canvass votes ahead of the December polls. The incumbent and leader of the National People's Party, His Excellency President Adama Barrow, has returned to Banjul following 2 weeks of campaign in provincial Gambia. And supporting effective healthcare delivery, Trust Bank Gambia Limited has extended a massive philanthropic gesture in major hospitals, fulfilling the bank's corporate social responsibility. And in sports, the Gambia Golf Open tournament wrapped up on Sunday at the Fajara Club Golf Course. And dozens of people are injured and 5 killed after a car plunged into a Christmas parade in the United States of Wisconsin. Well, that was all in this edition of the news at 2000 hours. I am Fatu Janimbai, and I'll see you again at 2200 hours for another edition of the news. Many thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us.